Do you play with a slice? The majority of golfers have experienced once in their golfing career a time where they hit the dreaded fade, or even worse, the slice. So I want to help as many slicers as I can understand the fundamentals of how hitting a slice happens. And I want to outline a few tips that might be able to help you with that slice and turn it into a straighter shot. Let's get into it. This is Nick Does Golf. As a youngster growing up from the age of 4, you don't tend to hit the ball very far. But as I was growing up, the ball flight started to change a little bit. So the first ball flight that I started with was a left to right fade. With lessons and a lot of practice through my teenage years, I managed to turn this into a draw. And this is still my natural shot. But from experience of having that fade when I was younger, it was important for me to go back to my fundamentals and check that they were right in order for me to hit that straighter shot. The fade is a very weak shot. Generally, most of the time, it finishes short and right of the intended target. The slice is one of the most frustrating shots you could ever hit in golf. The amount of times I've heard that people want to hit that perfect draw is amazing. On the odd occasion, when you do get the club face square or you come across the ball, it may go long left and you might pull it. So I'm going to share with you some of the experiences that I've had with trying to deal with this fade, the faults that I've had, how I've corrected these, and what maybe you could possibly do to check and solve this problem. So let's take a look at some of the problems that I've had and faced in the past, and what you also might be doing at this current moment in time. Okay, let's go. So number 1, alignment, massively important. Sometimes you just find yourself aiming too far left, which I have done in the past. This means everything else is pointing left as well. You might be looking a bit open, which is going to cause that club face to be open at impact. So for this, squaring everything up is important. 1, get facing towards the target. Square your shoulders up, make sure they're parallel with your feet and your knees. Using alignment sticks for this is massive. This is going to help you improve your aim. Following on from this, point number 2, the club path can cut across the ball. Now this can be because of your alignment, or it could be because of a fault in your downswing, which I have experienced. A tendency I've had in the past is to get a good position at the top of the backswing, and then for my downswing to come across it due to my chin being stuck on my shoulder. So, like so, rather than disengaging and dropping that club in a shallower position. As you can see, this squares me up nicely on the way down. One of the factors that caused me to hit this fade when I was younger was the fact that my grip was simply too weak. So my left hand was too far over, I could only see one knuckle, and my right hand was too far over, so you could see too many knuckles, causing me to have a weak grip. So that means that when you get to impact, chances are the face is going to be open. So to combat this with a lot of practice, a change was made where I strengthen up my grip. So I could see more or less 2.5 knuckles either side, just to neutralise that grip. A common fault which I have to address sometimes is ball position. When a fade occurs, or a pull more in my case now, it's because my ball position has come too far forward, so towards my left foot. This causes, again, my shoulders to be open, causing that downswing to cut across and therefore hit that pull shot or that fade. So making sure that the ball position is just slightly forward of middle is essential for me to get back to how I know hitting the ball best is for me. And finally, my bad habit, the one that is a killer for me, the reason for me hitting poor shots, is the fact that my head position is in the wrong place. So as you can see from this still image, my head is pointing slightly forwards of the ball. Now this causes me to pull shots. So what I have to do is make sure my eyes are almost behind the ball and my head is tilted slightly behind the ball, just to make sure that they are square and to help me get a correct downswing. This is due to me being more dominant in the right eye than my left, causing my head to go forwards. So I have to constantly check this all the time whilst I am playing. So I can deliver the club on a shallower path on the way down to get me squarer at impact. So I've pretty much done all of these at some point during my golfing career. Whether it was when I was first starting out, or I've just got into a bad habit and just cannot understand why I'm doing this. If you are doing any of these faults, then I recommend that you do consider some of the ones that I've used to correct myself. Make sure you groove these in and practice. If you're struggling to understand why you are hitting this fade or slice, don't be afraid to look at your swing on camera. It can be cringy at times. I have sometimes sat with my coach and looked at my swing and thought, ugh, that is horrible. But don't be afraid to video yourself. If you can't do that, find out if somebody can stand behind you or face on. See if they can analyse your swing with some of the tips that I've given you. Of course, if you are totally stuck, go and see your local pro. They are there to help you. But essentially, find out what works for you the best. Because of the way people swing, people's body compositions, they might have longer arms, shorter legs, whatever. These need to be taken into account when a fault comes in with your golf swing. This is because everybody swings differently. So some fixes may work for some, but may not work for others. This is a very important thing to consider when looking at your actual swing, how you set up to the ball, etc. I hope the tips and advice have really helped you with this, to maybe go out there and identify what your fault is, why you're doing it, and how possibly to correct it. Make sure you drop a comment down below on the fault that you had and how you've corrected it, if you've managed to use any of those at all. I would love to hear from as many of you as possible. Please make sure you hit that really big red button down below, the subscribe button, to keep up to date with everything that I'm doing, every video that I put onto my channel. Also like and comment on the videos. Also follow my social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter and TikTok to keep up to date with all the ins and outs of what I'm doing. It's been really great to share my experiences with you. I really hope you liked it. Cannot wait to keep sharing my experiences with you, and so you can follow me on this journey. A big thank you for watching, guys. See you very soon.